Namaste, my dears. I have returned back to my favorite place, back home, and this means there will be a lot more videos uploaded step by step on all the variety of interesting topics. And today I decided to cover one of the topics connected with Amanita and the difference between psychedelic mushrooms and Amanita muscaria. As I'm often being asked this question by people who haven't yet tried Amanita, what is the difference? As many, especially in the US, when there was the hype about Amanita muscaria, people were thinking they're going to get the similar experience comparing with the psilocybin mushrooms. So I decided to make this video exactly by sharing certain highlights and points connected to the difference of these mushrooms, the effects, and a little bit about the history and tradition. So first of all, I want to underline by the researches that we have done, we can see that Amanita was in a tradition of usage much older than the psychedelic mushrooms. In other words, the connection between humans and Amanita is more older than by humans with psilocybin mushrooms. And their effect and their work with this mushroom was far more deeper. In other words, what is the difference between the effects of the Amanita and the psychedelic ones? That in Amanita, the main chemical components that we have, it's ibotenic acid, it's muscimol and muscarine. And in the psilocybin mushrooms, it's exactly the psychedelic effect, the psilocybin. So what is the difference? That the Amanita provides a hallucinogenic journey and the psilocybin a psychedelic journey. What is the difference? In a hallucinogenic journey, you don't understand are you journeying right now or not? So the experience can be so clear as you're right now while looking at this video and everything is very much structured. You can see very nicely the reality and you understand that this is all physically real. When in a psychedelic journey, you can constantly understand that you right now are in a journey because your vision expands. You mostly start to see thin colors. You start to experience a lot deeper the surrounding reality with a reflection towards that it is more bright, it is more white. You can see energies, you can see sometimes energy structures. And eventually you can understand I'm right now tripping. With Amanita, you cannot understand it. So for this reason, Amanita muscaria becomes much more dangerous in consumptions in big amounts. And eventually, if you eat it in a big amount, then in many cases, people, they can inferior experience that they're more nauseous, that their body feels like as if they're drunk and they cannot control it when their consciousness is very like focused and straight. Like, secondly, you lose literally more and more control over your body, and there can be such loopholes when a person would repeat something and he won't be able to move on. In psychedelic journeys, it happens a lot more rare than a person would physically stuck with some kind of action, and eventually the journey always kind of continues. Of course, there's cases when in psychedelic journeys people also get into loopholes, but it's more as an exclusion. By Amanita, it's more a tradition. So also an important difference of the effect is that Amanita by itself, if we speak about the microdosing effect, then it grounds you. It grounds you into your body. So you actually start to feel yourself more present. Your mind becomes more focused and conscious, as muscimol has the impact on the GABA receptors, and the reptilian brain becomes much more quiet. Throughout, the person becomes much more present, much more conscious, and much more focused. When in psychedelic mushrooms, if you microdose them, on the opposite, you kind of lose the contact with reality. Your consciousness rises, and you feel that you're a little bit in the air, thinking about everything, having more access to your imagination, and eventually feeling yourself more, let's say, yeah, uplifted from your body rather than grounded in your body. This is also the reason why Amanita in the past the tradition was that it was only used in big amounts for shamans or very deep spiritual practitioners, because you need to have a very clear state of consciousness and know how to focus this energy, because you might go on a journey which will last for decades. And this decades and the path back might be very hard to overcome. And as the person doesn't understand if he's tripping or not, there can happen casualties. And these casualties can be by hurting yourself or trying to escape a loophole by, let's say, damaging your body and trying to stop the journey. If in a psychedelic journey, that might, let's say, assist to go from the illusions back to earth, then by Amanita, it might be an illusion in which you're actually acting physically, thinking you're still in a journey. So that's why only very strong spiritual practitioners with a very good state of consciousness were using Amanita. For example, in the Siberian tradition, normal people were forbidden to use Amanita at all. And it's interesting fact that Chukchas, which are connected partly by their ancestry with the Northern American Indians, they actually were even making wars for catching and gathering Amanita. They were going to those forests and fields where it was growing, and they were going with their army to gather that Amanita. But eventually it was only consumed by their shamans. So through that we have an interesting flow of difference between Psilocybin and Amanita. Also a very important thing if we speak about Amanita, so as Musumov has the impact on the GABA receptors, we start to become also a lot more calmer and a lot more energized in our physical body, that we want to act. But this only works when you are feeling already quite on a good level of energy. If you're right now in a big minus, for example, you're consuming different type of drugs, pharmaceuticals, or you're in deep depression, then first of all, Amanita will try to rise you up until the 0 point, and then afterwards lift you up that you will have a lot of energy. But moving from this minus to the 0 point, it can flow in different ways, which means it's a healing process in which you'll be faced with that what you have inside. Often people don't want to see that, and they're thinking that that pain or anger or aggression which rises from the inside, that let's say Amanita doesn't work on them. On the opposite, it works and it starts to guide you towards that what you're requesting. So if you were requesting for healing, if you were requesting for clarity, if you were requesting for peace, then maybe in the beginning you will have to go through a phase when you will have to see inside what was suppressed and which was hiding. With psychedelic mushrooms, I haven't seen so much that people would go into such deep, I would say, aggression or such deep states of emotions like it happened sometimes by Amanita. People under psychedelic mushrooms can experience that they have an uplift or that they would have certain feelings and emotions, but by Amanita, it works in a more deeper and profound way. So just know that Amanita and the psychedelic mushrooms, even though they are part of the same kingdom, they have different ways of showing themselves. And I'll repeat a little bit the small differences. So first of all, psychedelic mushrooms have psychedelic effect, which you can recognize through your vision, and the uplift that your consciousness is a little bit leaving the body. With Amanita, when you microdose, it has absolutely no psychedelic effects. Only in very big amounts you're going to have a hallucinogenic effect, but we try to avoid that. We work only with microdose. As the microdose, it helps us to be grounded. It helps our consciousness to be present. It lowers down the impact of the reptilian brain. Through that, we become more conscious. We become more focused. We start to see and hear what is inside of me, those feelings which were suppressed, and those things which were suppressed inside of us. And eventually, it all comes down to your request and the work that you do. Just know that the mushroom is just a tool. It's nothing special. It's literally just the tool which helps you to discover the strength which you have inside. And once you bring up your level of energy up and your consciousness rises to that state when you can be yourself, because being ourselves takes actually energy. And being happy, it takes actually a lot more energy than being depressed, weak, sad, and angry. So that reason, just know that it's a process, it's a flow. And all you have to do is to do the work by yourself. Make requests, work with that material which rises, take care of your physical, emotional, mental body, do your spiritual practices, and then you're gonna get great results. As with the conscious approach, I have seen what other people would call magic. When within 1, 2, 3 months of work, a person has reached higher results than they did in the last 10 and 12 years of their different type of work that they were doing upon themselves. It can be connected with their healing processes, self-discovery, or transformation, or even results in their business, work, and relationships. Everything is possible when you focus on the one and only thing, yourself. When you focus on yourself, when you do the work by yourself, when you don't rely on the magical pill, on Amanita or the Psilocybin mushrooms, but you focus on the essence of your own strength, you can get great results. So I hope that this video will help the ones who are thinking to try Amanita, and you understand now that the whole magic is within you, and that this mushroom helps you to be grounded in this reality and to succeed in this reality, not in those worlds, but here, presently. So use Amanita only in microdose, do your work, be confident that in the beginning they might have flows of healing processes which you have to overcome, but then you're gonna go to this flow state when you're gonna have a lot of energy, everything will become very clear, it will be very easy for you to be yourself, and you're gonna see a beautiful reflection how your inner feeling of happiness and harmony will transform the reality around you. So share this video with a friend who is searching for the answers. Give your support with a like, a comment, a question, or join up for course, donations, and our community. I'm very happy to be connected with you, and I sincerely hope to develop our community and people of spiritual seekers, businessmen, and experts to the next level. So see you soon in the next video, and namaste. I worship the God within you.